I am a flea collar, cracked, faded, and reeking of old chemicals. Once I was a promise, a circle of protection, a badge of belonging. Now I am a relic, clinging to a neck that trembles with every breath. My story is not about me, not really. It's about the cat I was meant to protect, and the man who found us both when we were nothing but broken things. The first thing I remember is the cold. Not the kind that seeps into plastic, but the kind that gnaws at hope. We, my cat and I, were thrown from a car, the door slamming shut with a finality that echoed in my plastic bones. I heard the woman's voice, sharp and tired. "He's too much trouble. I can't do this anymore." The man beside her didn't argue. He just drove away, leaving us in the gutter, shivering in the rain. My cat, his name was once Whiskers, but I doubt he remembers, tried to follow the car. He limped, his side bleeding from a bite that stung even through my dull senses. The dogs had found us earlier, in the yard, when the shouting started. I felt their teeth, the hot rush of fear, the way my cat's heart hammered against my clasp. I was supposed to keep him safe. I failed. We spent the night under a dumpster, pressed against the wet concrete. I listened to the city, the hiss of tires, the distant wail of sirens, the laughter of people who would never notice a stray cat and his useless collar. My cat whimpered in his sleep, twitching with nightmares. I wanted to comfort him, but I am only plastic and poison. I can only witness. Morning came, gray and merciless. My cat tried to stand, but his leg buckled. Hunger gnawed at him. I could feel his ribs, sharp and desperate, beneath my ring. He dragged himself into the open, mewling for help. No one stopped. A child pointed and laughed. Someone threw a half-eaten sandwich, which landed in a puddle and was quickly forgotten. That's when he appeared. The man. He was tall, with a stoop in his shoulders that spoke of old burdens. His coat was threadbare, his shoes patched with duct tape. He moved like someone who had learned to expect disappointment. But when he saw my cat, he stopped. He knelt in the gutter, heedless of the filth. "Hey, buddy," he whispered, his voice rough but gentle. "What happened to you?" My cat flinched, but the man didn't reach out. He just waited, letting the silence stretch between them. I could feel my cat's fear, his longing. He took a step forward, then another, until he collapsed at the man's feet. The man scooped him up, cradling him against his chest. I felt the warmth of his hands, the steady thump of his heart. He smelled of coffee and loneliness. "It's okay," he murmured. "I got you now." He carried us home, a cramped apartment that smelled of dust and old memories. There were no toys, no soft beds, just a battered couch and a table stacked with unopened mail. The man set my cat on a towel and examined his wounds. "You're a tough little guy," he said, voice trembling. "But you need help." He cleaned the bites, his hands shaking. He talked to my cat the whole time, telling stories about a daughter who used to beg for a kitten, about a wife who left one winter and never came back. "I'm not much good at this," he admitted, "but I'll try." Days passed. My cat slept, ate, healed. The man bought a can of tuna, splitting it between them. He laughed when my cat licked his fingers, a sound that startled both of them. I watched as the man's eyes softened, the lines on his face easing. He started talking to my cat, as if he were an old friend, sharing secrets and regrets. But not everyone was kind. The landlord knocked one morning, his voice sharp. "No pets allowed. You know the rules." The man pleaded, but the landlord shook his head. "Get rid of it, or you're out." That night, the man sat on the floor, my cat curled in his lap. He stroked my cat's fur, silent tears slipping down his cheeks. "I can't lose you too," he whispered. "Not after everything." I felt the weight of his grief, the way it pressed against the walls. My cat nuzzled his hand, purring softly. I realized then that we were all strays, all looking for a place to belong. The next day, the man packed a bag. He tucked my cat inside his coat, hiding him from the world. We wandered the city, searching for somewhere safe. Parks, alleys, abandoned buildings. None of them felt like home. People stared, some with pity, some with disgust. "Why bother with a mangy cat?" someone sneered. The man ignored them, holding my cat close. One evening, as the sun set behind the rooftops, we found ourselves in front of a shelter. The sign read, "No one left behind." The man hesitated, then knocked. A woman answered, her eyes kind but wary. "We don't have much room," she said, "but you're welcome to stay for the night." Inside, the air was warm, filled with the scent of soup and hope. There were others, families, old men, a girl with a dog that limped. The man sat in a corner, my cat in his lap. He didn't speak, but his shoulders relaxed for the first time in weeks. The woman brought a bowl of water, a blanket. She knelt beside the man, her gaze gentle. "He's lucky to have you," she said. The man shook his head. "I'm the lucky one." That night I listened to the sounds of breathing, the soft murmur of dreams. My cat purred, his wounds healing. The man slept, his hand resting on my cat's back. For the first time I felt useful again, a witness to something fragile and real. But peace is never simple. The next morning, the shelter director arrived. "We can't keep animals," he said, voice apologetic. "It's against the rules." The man pleaded, "But rules are rules." "I'll go," the man said quietly. "We'll find somewhere else." The woman stopped him. "Wait, let me see what I can do." She made calls, argued, fought for us. In the end, she found a foster program, a place for people and their pets, a chance to start over. We moved again, this time to a small house on the edge of town. There was a garden, a patch of sunlight on the floor. The man found work fixing fences, the kind of job that left his hands raw, but his heart lighter. My cat grew stronger, his fur glossy, his eyes bright. I watched as the man and my cat built a new life, one small kindness at a time. Neighbors brought food, children came to play. The man smiled more, laughed louder. He started fixing things for others, mending what was broken. One afternoon, a little girl knocked on the door. She held a kitten, trembling and thin. "Can you help him?" she asked. The man knelt, his eyes shining. "Of course," he said. "No one left behind." I realized then that we had become something more than survivors. We were a family, patched together from loss and hope, bound by the simple act of caring. And me? I am still here, circling my cat's neck. I am cracked, faded, but I am a witness to miracles. I have seen despair, and I have seen love. I know now that even the most broken things can find a place in this world. Sometimes, late at night, the man sits by the window, my cat in his lap. He looks at the stars and whispers, "Thank you." I like to think he's talking to me too, because in the end, it wasn't just my cat who was saved. It was all of us.